if that's your very angry face, then we'll be fine.
Yeah.
It looks like we're starting right now.
Yep. So, to anybody who hasn't really paid much attention to this tournament so far, this is standard mode compared to previous tournaments. The main difference in this mode compared to the original Link to the Past Randomizer tournament, which was also in standard mode, is the fact that the uncle no longer guarantees you a sword, he just guarantees you some sort of a weapon.
And boy, do these weapons, they're not all super fun to use.
Yeah, there's about, 6 or 7 different options, ranging from the sword, or a hammer, or the can of Burna, for instance, which is one of the harder ones to use.
Yeah, definitely. It uses a lot of magic to activate and to damage enemies that you need to really watch out about that.
Yep. And we're going to be pausing TimLobo's stream here and let VinylKnight's stream catch up. It looks like there's a bit of a delay in getting VinylKnight started. So we won't be seeing what this can of Burna is used for a little bit. Especially considering these players really want to be conserving their magic, as there are some forced combat rooms coming up.
Oh yes, it's one of the now the difficult part of the run is often in the beginning, with all these very specific kills you need to make in the beginning, depending on what weapon you have. Especially if you have like bombs or limited ammo weapons, such as Cane of Burner here or Fire Rod. It can be a bit difficult to manage if you're new to this.
I do like what VinylKnight did, was able to use the can of Burna to actually kill those 2 dagger guards, and there are 2 pots in that same room that have magic in them. That is actually an important knowledge in running this mode, is knowing which pots in the escape sequence have magic in them. Especially considering, like you were saying, both the Fire Rod and Can of Burna are very magic intensive.
Now, another thing they have to manage too is their health. As looking at TimLobo's side, he's down to already 1 heart. He really doesn't want to take a death here in the escape.
Yeah. One of the benefits of the Can of Burna is that it does make you invincible, so unless TimLobo gets unlucky, he should be able to survive these next rooms. And we do get a full magic drop too from the guard prize pack today.
Not a bad find. It's gonna give a small edge to the TheVinylKnight going towards into these rooms having full magic, but it's nothing big really.
Yeah, TimLobo might be able to pick up a full magic pot off of this green guard. Unfortunately, does not get a drop though. The prize packs are randomized per seed, and it's consistent. Ooh, that's unfortunate for TimLobo running out of magic in this room. He's actually going to need to save and quit. He's soft locked.
Yeah, that's what happens when you run out of whatever ammo you're carrying at this point. There's special safe places that they've put in to have your needed ammo back, but it does put you back behind quite a bit.
Yep, and TimLobo is actually was able to demonstrate that for us, getting a full magic refill back when he started around where the uncle appears. So unfortunately, TimLobo is going to be a bit behind at the end of this escape sequence unless VinylKnight runs into similar problems. But VinylKnight has a bomb drop already off of, I believe, the green guard in one of these forced combat rooms. So I doubt he'll be trying to grab more bombs off of the snakes or rats in the sewer section.
Yeah, 1 is all you really want. All you really need going out of the escape to check the 3 chests in the back. But if you do find more, just because you get through this efficiently with the Cane of Burner, you can maybe hope for a few more bomb drops just for Kakariko.
Yeah, I definitely like to look for at least 2 bombs in this escape sequence if I can help it. If you're stuck with a Can of Burna start, you oftentimes can't really help it, but it's an aspirational goal.
Yeah, it's part of a randomizer fun, I would say, to kind of hope for certain drops at the beginning, especially for bombs. It does change a lot of your routing early on.
Yeah. I definitely think there is a lot of value in spending as much time as you can in the escape sequence trying to get bomb drops. Some runners will opt to just get one or sometimes even get none and just, beeline through it as if it were NMG. But having that ability to get into that room and the ability to, say, get into the bomb wall and blindside or the bomb wall and Kakariko well without any additional walking around the town is pretty useful.
Indeed. Now, of course, it's often prone in the beginning to have some kind of way to make a bit of money. There's a few farming spots in Kakariko, so even if they do not get any bomb drops of any sorts, they do have a few ways to actually buy them. So it's not much of a problem.
hmm And along the way, Vinyl Light did actually pick up a bomb, so it'll at least be even. Oh, sorry, I was confused. TimLobo is still looking for a bomb drop. But it looks like nothing is in this part of the dungeon. However, TimLobo will still probably be revisiting this sooner rather than later.
Oh, indeed. You don't really skip a three chest location like that, especially if you know that you already picked up the map. But at least it's only a few hearts, so it won't actually put him behind progression-wise.
Yeah, but he's still gonna come back, more than likely. You don't really forget a place like this. Do find some 300 rupees here in Sanctuary, which is gonna be useful, especially if we're able to visit Zora sometime soon.
It also takes care of the any bomb problems early on.
hmm Do get a map check. 2 crystals in the Light World at Eastern Palace and Desert Palace. And our green pendant is at Tower of Hera, which I think is a nice goal to get in there once they get to the mountain. It's only 2 items in Hera, but it's a very quick dungeon, and adding the green pendant on top is like icing on the cake.
Yeah, it's one of those dungeons where you often don't really skip no matter what it is. It's like Thieves Town. You're gonna dip in it. Just be sure to get whatever you need from it.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Tim Lobo, he ran out of magic again, and when trying to fight off these rats, I think he got mixed up and killed the wrong rat. And when you load your save here, you only get a quarter magic meter, so it's extra precarious to even save and quit here.
Look at that vanilla mushroom.
Yeah, it's pretty vanilla. It doesn't bob back and forth like in the original game, but I'll give him credit for it. Do you get a book here in the Forest Thief's hut? Now, I wonder if Vinyl Knight is gonna take that book and go visit the pedestal right now. Doesn't look like he is. I
Doesn't go
think
for
if...
the bait.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't... It's really easy to forget that the book, does a thing before you have access to, tablets or want to go into Desert Palace, but you can actually check the pedestal with it, which, as pretty much everybody here probably knows.
Yeah, it's one of those functions to be able to read the ancient Hyrulean text, but yeah, it's probably not under their mind right now to go check that. They have so many things to check before that.
I think TimLobo is about to fall for a trap I think many runners have fallen for in the past.
Ah, yes, trying to move this block. It's only a one way.
Yeah, this block setup is designed such that you can only go through it one way.
Though that block here is kind of interesting because if you already have the mirror, you could go back.
Yeah, but do you want to?
right, that's one I'm gonna leave maybe to the people in chat, whether it's worth it or not.
So Vinyl Knight did buy some bombs and is now going to be hitting up the meat of Kakariko here in the Kakariko well, as well as Blind's Hut. So we'll probably be seeing at least some amount of progression in here. Technically, shields are progression, though most runners don't really view them as such.
Yeah, if it's at least it's progressive, which is close enough.
So nothing great in this well today, except for the shield, which I gotta say I like seeing the shields. Having the fighter shield can save you seconds. Like, you don't really think about it, but it does. Okay, so we get Ether here in Blind's Hut. Some extra health. And Tim, let's see if Tim decides to go check the pet after, picking up the book.
Man, Vinyl Knight just found a bottle down in Blind's Hut here, which is really great when routing Kakariko.
Yeah. I like seeing bottles in Kakariko, especially because it's very easy to forget if you find a bottle in, say, the escape sequence. And TimLobo is actually opting to go check the pedestal right this second. Now, sorry.
It's probably one of the earliest pedestal check I've seen so far in this tournament.
Yeah. So nothing in the Kakariko library, except for a piece of heart.
On pedestal, it's the flute.
Oh.
I
well,
mean,
we have a bit to be able to say whether or not that is truly a pedestal seed. So anybody running or anybody watching this better hope that Misery Mire is a crystal, or hope that it's a pendant if you just really hate pedestal seeds.
I mean, if if it's a pendant, yeah.
Sorry, my logic circuits are malfunctioning. It is actually confirmed to be a crystal. Otherwise, it would be a paradox, which is currently disallowed in the randomizer logic.
No paradox allowed.
Ooh, we get the boots here in the dam, as well as a fighter sword in the water. Don't need a lady to, like, reach the sword up to you. Just drain the lake, and grab it yourself.
That's a good old reliable weapon here. Much better than that old Cane of Verna.
Yeah, it's also really good for clearing out, say, Mini Moldorm Cave. So you don't need to rely on bomb strats.
Yeah.
Vinyl Knight is shunning that full magic drop. He's had enough of the blue cane today. We're instead going to be relying on our blue sword that we just found. And the hammer.
I mean, that's a very hype Moldom Cave. Got some good old reliable weapons here with the Master Sword and hammer in hand.
So early on, I like to calculate the Dark World versus Aghanim index, and we're already at one item away from Aghanim. So there's that.
Yeah.
We do still need 2 items to get to the Dark World. actually be able to do something in it.
Hey, there's still plenty of places to check in the meanwhile.
Yeah, with the boots, VinylKnight is going to be checking the bonk rocks. Unfortunately, no real progression out of the boots just yet.
Yeah, I would think now he's about to go visit Sahasrara.
Yeah. 3 items in Sahasrara's hut, and then 3 more items inside Eastern Palace. Potentially. One of them could be locked away behind Armos, but more often than not, you're going to be finding all 3 items before Armos. I think. We don't even need to talk to Sahasrara today because we do know what the green pendant is. It's a Tower of Hera, and VinylKnight does find Bombos here at the back of Sahasrara's hut, which might be important to enter any of the last 3 vanilla dungeons.
That's a nice spin speed he got there, saving a bit of time.
Yep.
Now it's kind of funny too that he got all that money and can't really reach Zora yet. Not through the traditional means, at least.
So yeah, in terms of progression, or rather places left to us, it's basically Eastern Palace, the Mushroom, or Agina's Cave. Unless we wanted to do... I guess there are... Oh, also Desert Palace, with the book in hand. In fact, I'm a bit surprised that VinylKnight opted to go into Eastern Palace before heading over to Desert. And that's what Tim is actually doing right now. Ooh.
And yet, I think that just... Yeah, that's a pretty good price to find right here.
Yep, it's likely our method into the Dark World, or our intended method into the Dark World, once we do find that Moon Pearl. Now, it could still be a Moon Pearl on the Pyramid situation, while TimLobo does find the flippers here in Agina's Cave, which is actually... It could actually be huge for TimLobo, because a lot of players don't like to check Agina's Cave, though VinylKnight will probably be making his way towards Desert, probably right after Eastern Palace.
Yeah, having both the book and the boots in hand, it's really a good indication that, it's a good place to go. And Tempered Sword already, 17 minutes in, we have Tempered Sword. Wow.
I'm a little skeptical about finding Tempered Sword so early. I'm not used to seeing seeds that give you early Tempered Sword and aren't complete trolls. Though we already know it's fairly trolly, but with it being a pedestal seed.
Yeah, well, at least TimLobo knows it's a pedestal seed. The TheVinylKnight can only hope it's not.
Yeah. Hopefully, for VinylKnight's sake, he does get the mirror by the time he decides to do Skull Woods. Now, we still don't have the fire rod in hand either, so... I don't know. It's a big question mark on when VinylKnight is actually going to be visiting the pedestal. Though it does look... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he took the right decision to go right into Desert. Rather than go anywhere else, really. Because those gloves, they do open up a bit. Like, Zora's now in play, but Yeah, it's not a good gamble this early on.
The gloves do open up the way to Moldorm, or not Moldorm, Landmollas. However, we do still need a fire source to light the torches to actually open the door to Landmollas. That being said, we could find a fire source sometime soon. I don't know, have we found any items here in Desert Palace so far?
We did find a few bombs right here, but that's the only item I spotted.
That's interesting because it could mean that Landmollas does have an item. I'm actually pretty sure he does. Or they do, I guess. So maybe we will be seeing a fire source sometime in our near future. And we do find the moon pearl here. TimLobo is grabbing it while VinylKnight is just seeing it. So
There you go. That's your Dark World access.
yeah. And while it does seem like VinylKnight is a little bit behind in progression, does have the gloves from Eastern Palace, which TimLobo has yet to visit. TimLobo still also hasn't visited Mini Moldorm Cave and grabbed the Master Sword, Hammer, and yeah. But TimLobo is going to be treading new ground here, checking the hobo and probably making his way up to the Waterfall Ferry.
Yeah, it's probably the right play to do, given his situation.
Yeah, this is one of those cases where that knowledge, or sorry, the gap of knowledge really influences your play. Like VinylKnight, once he picks up the Moon Pearl here on the desert ledge, we'll be able to visit Hype Cave. We'll be able to visit Village of Outcasts. TimLobo, on the other hand, is going to be spending a lot of time here going towards. Looks like he's going towards Ice Cave, which probably not a bad idea, even though we know there's nothing good there.
Oh, yeah. That would have been disastrous, Vinyl Knight. Good thing you didn't do it.
Oh, was a bottle here in Ice Rod Cave, which is not bad, but we already found a bottle in Kakariko, so it's not strictly necessary.
Yeah, it's a nice safety to have a few more bottles, but other than that, it's, yeah, kind of disappointing.
TimLobo is taking an interesting route to Mini Moldorm Cave here. I've never seen somebody travel to Mini Moldorm Cave from the east.
Yeah,
While VinylKnight does get the Dark World access.
yeah, well, I'm betting we'll find some powder in that hype cave he's about to visit.
So if Tim actually finds progression in Waterfall Cave, it might give him a bit of an advantage outside of the one he already has, and knowing it's a pedestal seed. Not entirely sure where he's going right now, though. Okay. So we do find a lamp here in Hype Cave, which I guess makes it not even remotely possible it was an Agassiz.
Exactly.
Tim is still hurting for money, won't be able to check Zora, but will be able to check what's on the Zora ledge.
It's good info, at least. TheVinylKnight here is about to go visit Stumpy and gets a piece of art. Nothing useful.
So it's nothing on the ledge except for a full heart container. I doubt either of these runners are going to be grabbing it.
Now, I wonder how long TheVinylKnight is going to make us wait and see a map check here on Dark World.
I don't know. TimLobo is actually walking backwards to turn in the mushroom as well. That's another... I don't know if it's the first time I've seen that, but... Oh! Unfortunately, falling in the water. Oh, he had to. No gloves.
Yeah, it's an interesting routing overall. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Yeah, there have been many situations where an early game mushroom led one runner to a large advantage when, you know, say Dark World access had been given out. Fortunately, the mushroom doesn't really get us anything today.
In the meanwhile, looks like TheVinylKnight decides to skip another opportunity maybe to check the pedestal.
Yeah. It's such a small chance of happening that a lot of runners will just not even put it in their mind.
Ooh. Pendant Swamp and Pass of Darkness. This is two dungeons you don't really want to see as pendants usually.
Yeah, not at all. Since they're the dungeons that, for the most part, don't require a whole lot to get in and complete, or at least in terms of Palace of Darkness usually, but they also have a lot of items between them.
Now, of course, if they find everything they need before dipping into them, that's good for them. It's going to make for a very quick seed. But yeah, rather often than not, you just don't hope for it. Now, it looks like TheVinylKnight decided to go dip inside of Skull Woods here. Let's see if that pays off. I mean, in this version, it hadn't paid off for me at all.
Yeah, there was a version where it was very prevalent that Skull Woods would have progression, but these days not so much. Now, TimLobo does have the knowledge and the assurance that going into these pendant dungeons will be not a risk at all. So he'll probably prioritize going into Palace of Darkness and Swamp Palace once he gets the ability to enter them and complete them. But TheVinylKnight might actually hold off on them until he gets a bit more desperate.
Indeed, especially if he does not have the information that this is a pedestal seed.
Wow, I like that ether strat here in this Skull Woods room. Did not know that Gibdos were vulnerable to it.
Yeah, it does give you a lot more breathing room around there.
Unfortunately, it looks like nothing really good here in Skull Woods today. TimLobo does get his Dark World access here in Eastern Palace. Does decide to continue onward, even though we know there's not a whole lot else in here. Interesting route by TheVinylKnight, opting to go back the way he came instead of exiting the eastern exit of the forest and maybe getting a bumper cave check-in. Fortunately, VinylKnight having a bit of fairy trouble. We are going to be seeing what's inside the Village of Outcasts today. Not a very profitable chest game.
Now, this is a dip that's probably a bit more interesting usually for people go inside Thieves Town. Now, fortunately for us today, it's a crystal, and depending on the skill of the players here, we'll probably see a full clear as soon as they enter it.
Yeah, especially considering we do have the hammer. There's no chance that anything's going to be blocked off. Ooh. Half magic here in the Sea House. It's definitely good to see, especially when you have that cane in hand. In fact, we could be going to Spike Cave sometime soon.
Indeed. And pretty much removes the only big challenge from this dungeon right here, as blind plus Cane of Burn and half magic means you can just sit back and go into his head and wait for the fight to end.
Fun butter sword here in Thieves Town. That is a 30-minute butter sword. Now, I'm pretty sure, going back, that you don't need half magic in the logic to go through Spike Cave. Like, even if you don't have a bottle, as long as you have the blue cane. It's only the cape that requires it because it has a faster magic drain.
Looks like TimLobo is opting to go see what Zora has now that he has enough rupees.
Yeah, this is an interesting play, especially when you just unlocked Dark World. I believe Tim thinks he might be a bit behind and is trying to spend more time on locations that other players might not. Just to try and gain an edge that way.
Yeah, it's not a bad plan, really.
Also seemingly forgetting that he does have the flippers. Ooh, totally worth it today. And VinylKnight got a nice God Pixel in the hallway there. I don't think it was like an immediate God Pixel, but he was able to set it up and dash the entire room without getting stopped once.
Yeah, it wasn't a hole-in-one, but it was good enough.
Ooh. The bow here upstairs in Thieves Town. That means that Palace of Darkness is completely completable. However, VinylKnight, knowing that it's a pendant, might not want to go inside just yet. And VinylKnight does not have the knowledge TimLobo has that it is indeed a pedestal seat.
Yep, might send him in a completely different direction, like maybe trying to complete a desert palace. Though at the moment, he also has access to part of Death Mountain, so that could also be a play afterwards.
Yeah, Death Mountain, it's kind of sketchy right now. You do get that, warp point and everything. You get a few items and knowledge of a third, but there's so many other things you could be doing right now. Like, if they found the hookshot, sure. Or the mirror.
Yeah, that's why it's kind of iffy right now where to go given his knowledge. It's like he has all the items needed to complete Desert, Eastern, so it's probably more these dungeons he's going to do since they are crystals.
Yeah. He might opt to complete Eastern and then walk south and go in the Palace of Darkness warp there and check out Palace of Darkness, even though it is a pendant.
Now we see the ultimate boss of Rando Seeds, the menu.
Yeah, VinylKnight does drop the blind fight a little bit, but has no real trouble taking him out. Blind is actually really easy with half magic and the blue cane. I mean, it's pretty easy if you practice the NMG strats, but yeah, blue cane is free.
Hey, sometimes using safety means you actually do things a lot faster than not using it, so might as well.
Yeah, my personal favorite is the cane dash, the blue cane dash in Turtle Rock in the roller room,
Ah, yes.
because it's definitely faster than hookshot strats. You can't convince me otherwise.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I just don't like Turtle Rock in general.
That makes two of us. Tim is actually checking catfish in a move I wholly endorse.
Yep, I think, like you said earlier, he's still trying to find that one item that's gonna give him an edge.
Yeah, but unfortunately, so far the seed is looking pretty standard outside of the pedestal requirement. So Tim going towards Thieves Down is probably his best bet, especially considering he can then go directly to Palace of Darkness, and knowing that he has to be there, will have no guilt in just full clearing it. Fortunately, Catfish doesn't have anything for us today.
Yeah, these guys they're playing a very, very different seed given the information difference they have. Like, just because the TheVinylKnight has more items and did a few more things than his opponent doesn't give him a very clear advantage yet. We'll have to see how this seed really devolves a bit more.
Yeah, Tim is going all in here on this unlikely location checking, opting to clear out Desert Palace now that he has the ability to do so, even though it only has one more item, and it's necessary to do so, but if you waited until you got mitts in the mirror, it would be a lot faster to get to the boss.
Yeah, definitely. At the very least, he's probably telling himself, "Hey, it's progress." Because it does happen after a while, you know, if you don't find anything very useful for like 10 minutes or so, you start to feel like, okay, I should maybe do a crystal dungeon if I can.
Yeah, but VinylKnight has barely stepped into the Dark World so far. Sorry, TimLobo. wrong name.
They both start by T. It's when looking really fast, it can be very confusing.
Yeah. The problem is I'm talking about one person while watching the other.
Multitasking, not for everybody. Now then, where do you think VinylKnight is going next?
Probably towards Palace of Darkness, maybe checking Catfish along the way. So VinylKnight will be happy to learn eventually that this is indeed a pedestal seed.
Yep, and giving his routing, at least he'll be able to full clear all of Palace of Darkness, whether that is good for him or not in his in his head. It is going to be good for him.
Yep, we are going up to Catfish to get a bit disappointed in the, I believe it was 20 rupees that he had to offer for us today. I mean, honestly, like, the guy is just angry with you because you're disturbing his rest. Like, he shouldn't be giving you anything important, but sometimes he does. It's just that today is not one of those days.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, he actually helps you. trying to save the world and everything. But you know, not all NPCs can be useful.
Okay. Oh my goodness, the fire rod on Land Molas. That could be absolutely massive for TimLobo, depending on whether or not there's a fire rod block somewhere soon.
Indeed, that was one of those items that could bring him back in this race.
Yeah, I believe TimLobo is probably going to be heading towards Skull Woods right now. I don't recall. I don't know if there were any items left that VinylKnight didn't see, but at the very least, TimLobo will be able to clear out the dungeon and actually kill Mothula.
Now, he'll still need to be a bit careful. I mean, Mothula is not a very difficult fight, but it's a very random one. And given that they're still on green mail, can be a bit iffy if you're not comfortable with it.
Yeah, it's a little scary, but with 10 hearts in hand as well as a tempered sword, I believe both of these runners will be able to take Mothula out with little trouble.
Oh yeah, definitely. Of course, if he goes into Skull Woods before going in checking whatever's in Village of Outcasts, he won't have that half magic. So it's going to be a bit more interesting, but still fairly easy, yeah.
Now, let me pose you a question. If VinylKnight finds progression here in Palace of Darkness, or worse for him, doesn't find progression but clears the dungeon out of items, aka Mapper Compasses at Trinex, does VinylKnight actually, or not Trinex, Helmasaur King, does VinylKnight actually kill Helmasaur King?
Well, what I would do is full clear the dungeon because I know better now. Oh, look at that.
So, hookshot here, first item in Palace of Darkness. So it is bow blocked to even get into this dungeon, unless you want to use the new bottle skip, or whatever it's called. Horizontal bottle adventure or something.
Close enough. I've yet to do it in a seed because the condition for it to be very useful is kind of precise, but still.
Yeah. I think it's useful specifically in the case where you want to clear out Palace of Darkness. You don't have the bow, and it turns out to be bow blocked, because that's what gets you in the front door. But in this case, we know it's bow blocked, but we do have the bow, or at least VinylKnight does. But he does not have any hearts.
Maybe we'll see him just take a death here and go back to the beginning.
Yep.
Death warp.
Nope.
Rip the death warp.
Didn't need the death warp. We do have the hammer, unless VinylKnight just wanted to take it because he had the ability to.
I mean, routing wise, I would have taken the death warp, but hey.
With this nice little bonk you can do across the gap here, it's yeah, it's pretty easy to get onto this ledge, get that chest, and then you can head into the dungeon, or deeper into the dungeon. But with the amount of keys we've seen so far, I'm pretty sure that VinylKnight is missing at least one potential item in that first segment of the dungeon. In fact, it might be two.
Well, another progression item.
Yeah. The Kana Samaria is really nice, especially when you want to actually do Turtle Rock, or, finish Misery Mire. Now, did VinylKnight find the big key yet in this dungeon?
Not sure. He did skip one chest well, where the key is. Well, blah, can't talk tonight. Where the key is in the vanilla game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he also skipped the ledge below, or not the ledge, the chest below it.
Ah, yes, he did.
And by my count, he had 3 keys.
Man, what luck. TimLobo is on the modular fight here. It's it's scary.
Yeah, down to 4 hearts. Does have some magic left with this fire rod. Also does have the tempered sword, so provided he gets maybe 1 or 2. Ooh, never mind. Does take a death
Does
though.
he have the fairy?
Does not have a fairy.
Oh,
Ooh, VinylKnight taking another death warp here.
yeah. This one is one I often see when you're inside of Palace of Darkness without a mirror. Definitely worth it.
Yeah. If you're lucky enough to find the big key before you want to head into the backside of the dungeon, you could also use the hammer yump if you're able to do that. VinylKnight does find a key for a key here in the vanilla big key chest. And the ice rod. Okay.
So we know where everything is to clear, well, clear all of Turtle Rock, given if it's one of the medallions we do have.
We do still need the mitts, but you know, we'll probably be finding the mitts somewhere soon. If I had to guess, they're in Swamp Palace. Tim is going back for round 2. I'm actually taking a death here. One of the fire snakes. Mainly to get some health back. He was very low on health.
You want all the health you can have to in going into this fight. It's just going to be a bit of a shame given that once he does clear this fight out, he'll probably go into Village of Outcasts and find his half magic.
Alright, so with Hookshot in hand, VinylKnight is actually going to be visiting the mountain, the first person to do so. We'll be checking what's inside and on top of Spectacle Rock, and then, unless he, has an unfortunate accident with dead rocks or cabbages, we'll be checking East Death Mountain as well.
Another heart inside of Spectacle Rock here. At this point, he's probably thinking of skipping it because, yeah, nothing very interesting at this point. But he's, looking in. Oh, yeah, he is going inside of Spike Cave here.
And we do have half magic, so even though he does not have a lot of HP, he will be able to get through this dungeon. And notably, did not do Helmasaur, even though it is required.
TimLobo gets through the fight with the big moth here, so he does earn another crystal.
So VinylKnight saving and quitting out of Spike Cave, which, I mean, most runners will do. It's really obnoxious to walk out of Spike Cave most of the time. We'll be checking East Death Mountain, and unless VinylKnight finds something great here in East Death Mountain, we'll probably be heading into the Tower of Hera, which, again, we know it needs to happen, even though it is a pendant.
Yep. But given that it's a green pendant too, man, there's so much of an incentive to go inside of it. It's Tower Hera. It's super easy to do. It's fast. There's at least 2 items in it. It's green pendant. Yeah, go for it. Well, might not anymore. What a place for Titans.
Yeah, I didn't mean they were in Swamp Palace at all. I meant they were in East Death Mountain.
Man, I really hate that they're right here because this is like pushing him so far away from where he needs to go, which is pendant dungeons.
Yeah. So we do round out our medallion collection here as well in Paradox Cave. So we don't need knowledge on what medallions are required because we have them all, or at least VinylKnight does.
Yep, it's always fun to have all 3, like you say. And it's just something off your mind.
Yep. So I guess just to do a bit of a roundup of things we still need. So again, to anybody who's joining us, this is a pedestal seed. TimLobo has confirmed as such very early on in the game because we did have early book. So every single one of the 10 dungeons is required, except for every single one of the 10 dungeons that gives you something is required. So that means we need to find the mitts, which is required anyway. We need to find the mirror, and then the flute is on the pedestal.
Yeah, that's about it. It's, man, so close from, well, so close. It is 51 minutes in, but given how the progression was laid about, it's not bad at all for, at least for the TheVinylKnight. He does have a lot of items, but he doesn't have the required knowledge to make the best of routing, I'd say. Now that he does have the mitts, he'll be able to explore the dark side of Death Mountain here. And I'm gonna go on a whim and say he's going to find the mirror very soon.
You know, for comeuppance's sake, I think VinylKnight shouldn't find the mirror because that's going to put him further away from Hera, and I think that's what TimLobo needs to really get back into the seed.
Yeah, I pretty much think that as soon as TimLobo finds his bow right here inside of T-Town, he's gonna have a much better time through this seed.
Yeah. So once TimLobo finds the bow, he'll be able to complete Palace of Darkness, and inside of Palace of Darkness is the hook shot. Then once TimLobo gets the hook shot and completes Palace of Darkness and actually kills Hemisar because he knows he has to, he will likely do the same thing VinylKnight is doing right now. The caveat here is that TimLobo knows he has to do Hera and will probably be doing, Hera before entering the Dark World here. Oof. So nothing great here in Dark Death Mountain.
Yep, and he realizes that since he doesn't have the mirror, can't do much else up here. So he's saving, quitting, and what's the next destination?
Well, starting at Link's house makes me think he might be headed...
Desert? Oh, maybe ice.
Ice Palace.
He does have bombos, so
Yeah, unfortunately for TimLobo, while he did find the fire rod off of Landmola's, he doesn't necessarily need it just yet. And considering it's a pedestal seed with the flute is getting you to Misery Mire, I'm fairly sure. In fact, just looking at the items, yeah, it's impossible for the Pyramid Fairy to have anything. So going to Skull Woods early isn't going to help you either, because we've seen everything there is to see in Skull Woods.
So yeah, we're really seeing an interesting race here, going where I would say that VinylKnight does have some rather better execution so far, but Tim Lobo has the information he needs to complete this scene in a more well-routed fashion.
Yeah, and the fact that VinylKnight seems to be all in on it not being a pedestal seed might cause him some issues. I think that VinylKnight still has quite a bit of an advantage in time, at least, you know, as it currently stands. But if he keeps skipping out on completing these pendant dungeons, it's going to hurt him in the long run.
Looks like he is going for the bomb jump here, which is always nice to see.
Yeah. Well, most runners would say, and I would agree with that, the assessment that the Ice Palace bomb jump is probably one of the first things you should learn when starting to run this game or running Randomizer.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was a bit sketchy of a bomb jump, but it did work out in the end.
It did, but I'm gonna go and say that was pure luck and that positioning at the end here. But good on him anyway.
And it does look like TimLobo is, at the very least, going to be clearing out Armos. Ooh, okay. I was a bit confused there. Why he did the save and quit almost. So yeah, not having the mirror, I think doing this is a good idea. We know for a fact that there is no mirror in Palace of Darkness, unless it's on Helmasaur, which I wasn't counting items in Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the mirror isn't there just because the VinylKnight, if he would have had more items, he would at least gone to King Helmasaur, right? That's my assessment, at least.
Some runners will opt to skip locations and dungeons that are slow. I don't personally agree with it, but some runners might do that.
Even if you're still missing items?
Again, I don't agree with it, but yes, it happens. If you find blue mail here in Ice Palace, it's almost vanilla.
Yeah, close enough. And it's rather useful given how far they are in the seed, too. I mean, no matter how good you are at this randomizer, being on green mail is always a bit worrisome.
Alright, VinylKnight looks like... Huh. Just gonna be skipping out on that one chest. Unless I missed something.
I'm pretty sure he got it. Because he did kill both of them with bombos.
No, not that chest. The chest we don't like to talk about.
Oh, that chest. Yeah, well, I think he's going back for it right now.
Okay.
Or not. He's going for fairies, but didn't he have the powder? Or is that TimLobo? Oh no, they don't have the powder. That's why. Brr.
Yeah, but VinylKnight does want to get additional fairies. It's always nice to have. VinylKnight's execution has been pretty good so far, but you know, if you're not confident in your ability to beat a seed like this without dying, you know, all the more power to you. Take whatever precautions you need. All right. So VinylKnight is heading into Cold Stare. TimLobo is going to be heading down towards this Dark World portal, and then going to be going into Palace of Darkness to really close up that item gap.
Now, this blue mail and gold sword here on Cold Stare is going to make for a very easy fight.
Yeah. Typically, you'll want to bunch them in a corner with a spin attack, and then either slash them or do, you know, poke dash strats or whatever. But Butter Sword, it's not a huge deal. They still kind of hit like a truck, even with the blue mail, though.
So now finding a map on Cold Stare means that there's definitely something in that one chest.
Yep, and VinylKnight is going right back inside. Which is an interesting play, given the gambles they've made so far. Maybe not gambles. Given the routing they've done so far, I'm a bit surprised that they're deciding to do this now. So I guess the options are starting to dwindle. Found everything. He found everything he could find in Skull Woods. Can't get into Swamp Palace. I believe found everything he could in Palace of Darkness, even though we know he needs to go back to clear it. Didn't go into Hera, interestingly enough, or check Ether Tablet.
He did check Ether. It was garbage.
But you didn't go into Hera? Or was it
Nope.
blocked?
No, he simply did not go into it.
That is an interesting omission from your routing, given it's a green pendant and the fact that it's a very short dungeon with 2 items in it. And I guess just to inform people that might not have been here, TimLobo did find the fire rod off of clearing Land Molas. VinylKnight did go through the entirety of Desert Palace, but was unable to finish the dungeon. TimLobo was in the same boat, but he decided to go back and got paid off with that fire rod. Was already able to clear out Skull Woods.
Yep, and given the options that are just in front of him, VinylKnight is probably going to go either complete desert or eastern after this. Or continue to check a few more spaces on the overworld. It all depends really on what he prefers, but I think the way he's been routing about, it looks like he prefers going into dungeon.
Yep. Tim is going to be finding the red cane here in Palace of Darkness. Did find already the hook shot and what else? There's one other thing in here, wasn't there?
Cane of Samaria.
Right.
But VinylKnight here found an interesting item in that one chest. He found some silver arrows.
That is interesting. I don't know if it's worth the cost of going all the way back in the dungeon for it, but it's... I mean, it's better than nothing. Better than a bit 20 rupees.
Oh, definitely. It's a hard item to judge because the better you are at this game and execution-wise, the less good it is. But it does save a bit of time, so yeah.
It was the ice rod, the third item here in Palace of Darkness.
Ah, yes, the ice rod in the basement.
Yep, there's a very stacked Palace of Darkness today. VinylKnight is opting to buy a potion here. Don't blame him. So yeah, TimLobo is going to be probably heading towards the mountain immediately after clearing this dungeon. That's my guess. Anyway. With Quake inside a Paradox Cave, we will have no doubt on what we need to enter Turtle Rock. I don't even think VinylKnight checked it, which is a good thing. And even if you're on green mail, like Butter Sword Trinex is pretty easy.
Oh yeah, it's something else when you're maybe just on Master Sword, but yeah, Butter Sword kind of makes every scene kind of easy. I say kind of because there are those annoying enemies that will sometimes take your life away. Chain chomps.
Yeah. We're definitely a far cry away from the original Link to the Past randomizer tournament, which was also in standard mode, though without the randomized swords at the Uncle, where they didn't even have progressive swords at that time, or any progressive anything. So
Yes.
you would often just find like Butter Sword in Kakariko, and then it's like, oh, well, I guess I'm unstoppable.
Yeah, that happened pretty often. Made the seeds, I wouldn't say easy, but it made them kind of uninteresting on the side of killing bosses.
Yeah. So the way this seed is laid out, I'm honestly starting to think that it is a mirror inside of Tower of Hera situation. VinylKnight is going to be checking the dwarves here, which does require a save and quit. It doesn't. It used to require the mirror. It doesn't anymore, which is definitely an interesting change.
Yeah, especially if you're not aware of it. It's one of the worst places for mirror to actually be at.
Yep. And Tim, knowing that it is a pedestal seed, is actually going to be clearing Helmasaur. Whereas VinylKnight just gets a little bit of love for his trouble and 10 rupees. So VinylKnight really needs to be heading towards Landmola's. I think, now that I'm thinking, it might be mirror inside of Turtle Rock as well.
Yeah, it could be there, huh?
And it looks like that's what VinylKnight is doing right now. Correctly remembering that there is actually an item at Landmola's. And honestly, like, outside of going all the way back up to Tower of Hera, there aren't many other options.
Yeah, you definitely don't really want to go explore like Tower of Hera and then maybe find yourself inside Turtle Rock without the fire rod. More often than not, you're just going to be blocked quite early on.
Yeah, and VinylKnight did go into the Dark World without having the way to get back out. Otherwise, I believe VinylKnight probably would have went into Turtle Rock, even though he did not have the fire rod.
Yeah, because of the routing he did. Oh, TimLobo is about to make short work of this giant masked beetle by tapping lightly on it for 17 times and then just slashing it, I believe, 3 times with the golden sword?
2 times.
2 times, yeah. Man, that sword is powerful.
Yep.
That's why you don't get it till the end of the game in vanilla.
Yeah, you might not even find it unless you have like the player's guide or whatever.
Yeah, it was kind of well hidden inside that fairy in the pyramid.
So we do get confirmation that there aren't any more items that VinylKnight is missing out of Palace of Darkness. So I think it probably was the smarter play to just leave the dungeon, even though we know it was the wrong play.
Yeah, because it is going to cost him some time going back inside of it and deal with Helmasaur, rather than do what TimLobo did and just clear it while he's there. That's why I usually clear most of the dungeons I go into it if I can clear them, but it's not always a good play.
Yep, and TimLobo is following the path that was laid out for him, going up to the mountain, while VinylKnight does catch up in terms of items and gets that fire rod. Honestly, looking at these crystals, like, and pendants, TimLobo has done so many dungeons compared to VinylKnight right now. And
Yeah.
it's owed almost entirely to his early gamble to go into Desert Palace early, and the fact that he knew it was a pedestal seed.
Yep, that's why you see that information has its price in Randomizer.
Yep. So that's a lesson for anybody watching. If you want to get good at Randomizer, just check the pedestal if you get the early book. You'll win every time. Well, maybe. This race is far from over.
Yeah, because once they do have go mode and have every item really they need, which right now looks to be a lot more in TimLobo's favor, which is kind of funny. But yeah, everything he needs right now is the mirror, because he knows where the flute is, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and TimLobo will be getting the mitts here in short order. Hopefully, TimLobo does clear out Hera and at least opens the path to Turtle Rock before entering the Dark World and doesn't fall into the same trap VinylKnight did. Honestly, Tim probably still feels a bit behind because if you're a player, a lot of the times you'll just assume that your opponent is doing the same things you do, even if, like, a lot of players just won't check the pedestal, even if the option is available to them. But you gotta assume that they will.
Yeah, and it's a difficult timing to go check the pedestal, because it's kind of out of the way unless you do have the mirror while going to clear Skull Woods. Then it just becomes a small detour to go check it. But otherwise, it's just out of the way to get this information. And you know that pedestal seeds don't happen that often.
Yeah. I just like the metric of how much time does it cost versus how much time does it potentially save. And knowing like right at the start that you're in a pedestal seed compared to not knowing can save you, I'm just going to throw out a number, like 5 minutes maybe, or more. Not checking or checking it is probably going to take you a minute tops earlier on. So I guess, like, you know, the 5% chance that it is a pedestal seed might not be worth it, but I don't know. I just like to get information.
Yeah, I think this is going in the what I would call the gambling aspect of Rando, where you do take the gamble that it's not a pedestal seed, and you go through it naturally and finding, like, TheVinylKnight, the way he's been routing, he's not making an error in judgment and for what he's doing, because he is clearing all the crystal dungeons very quickly here. But yeah, he is going to suffer from it nearing the end here. as he's probably going to look more and more for that mirror on overworld locations while Tim is going inside of dungeons. We're not sure where that mirror is, but it's going to help Tim overall more because of the flute location on the pedestal.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately for VinylKnight, he does not have the mirror in hand, so won't be able to actually check the pedestal right now either. So it's gonna get a bit uglier before it gets nicer for VinylKnight, I think. Has VinylKnight checked the? Oh wait, never mind. The shovel was in Hera, and VinylKnight didn't go inside it. And that is our green pendant. So Tim could actually take that over to Sahasrara whenever he wants. It's just, if at the flute, it's kind of a run, a jog there.
He does remember that there's there's a few more locations you probably want to check over there before that spike cave.
Yeah. Fortunately, he is going to be going into Spiral Cave, which is making me think that Tim might actually be entering the southern portal, which without the mirror in hand would mean he'd have to come back up the mountain to get into Turtle Rock. So hopefully Tim doesn't fall for that trap and just goes up and uses the portal on top of Turtle Rock. Unfortunately, he's falling for that trap.
Yep, so we won't see what's inside Turtle Rock just yet. Or maybe we do. Looks like the TheVinylKnight is going there right now. And given the items he has, it's probably a good idea. I mean, he has all of the rods and all the medallions. Might as well get through it right now.
Yeah, but if VinylKnight does find the mirror here, it might keep him away from Hera even longer. Whereas the second TimLobo finds the mirror, he's going to be in go mode. And we'll be able to go mode Swamp Palace.
Yep, and that's where I think it's going to make the biggest difference overall. Well, right now you can already see most of most of the routing choices have transpired through the seed. They're already paying off for Tim. Just look at the number of dungeons cleared.
Looks like Tim is going to be opting to check Spike Cave here. Fortunately, did fall for the trap of using the southern portal and won't be able to do Turtle Rock. Hopefully, that is his next destination after Spike Cave here. So VinylKnight will have a bit of an advantage going into Turtle Rock, but again, Tim has completed 2 pendant dungeons that Vinyl hasn't. But Vinyl does have the entirety of Ice Palace. I don't know. I think what TimLobo does next is going to be very important for his success here. Whether he goes to Turtle Rock, which looks like what he's doing, which is the good thing. So, yeah, or going to Ice Palace, which is another option, but we know it doesn't have anything for him.
Now, since they are both going on the same dungeon, we're pretty much going to see him do the same things all around. Looks like VinylKnight forgot that he did have the hookshot to use the the hookshot strats in this cave.
Yep. And these are little time losses that I don't think VinylKnight can afford to have right now. TimLobo is about to be heading into Turtle Rock as well. I don't know, like it's kind of close. I think VinylKnight still might have the advantage depending on when he just doubles down on either checking the pedestal or going into and completing, say, Hera. But if the mirror is here inside Turtle Rock, which it probably is, I think that's going to spell VinylKnight's doom.
Yeah, I agree with you on this one. Yeah, because as soon as he gets the mirror, pretty much all of the overworld is open to him. So what does he do? Go inside pendant dungeons or explore, get that knowledge where that flute is? Yeah.
Oof. Taking a death here, though he does still have fairies, so VinylKnight is probably right for getting the fairies, and that is the mirror in the change hop room. So TimLobo will be in go mode in about a minute or two.
Yep, and it's gonna change from here on out. It's going to be more of an execution race of really how he does across the dungeon versus VinylKnight trying to find where that flute is.
Yep. And as we said, VinylKnight does have Ice Palace as an advantage, but he had to do Ice Palace in full clear. TimLobo is just going to be able to deep dive it with the notable distinction that TimLobo probably won't be getting the silvers this seed. So that's a bit of an advantage, I guess, VinylKnight is going to retain.
Oh no!
Wow.
What a rude door.
Yeah, unfortunately, you really don't want to mess or miss these torches. So yeah, VinylKnight still has to... is probably going to full clear Swamp. Like, that's for sure. Is going to eventually have to go into and clear Tower of Hera and Palace of Darkness. Whether or not VinylKnight checks the pedestal before doing so, at least for Tower of Hera, is another story.
Now, at least when he finishes going through Turtle Rock here, he is going to be still on Death Mountain with the mirror, which to me spells like, hey, might as well go check that item locations that are super quick and have 2 items in it for Tower of Hera.
Maybe. I mean, we know that both Swamp Palace and Tower of Hera are pendants, but VinylKnight might just be gambling now that Swamp is the next destination. So yeah, 1 hour and 23 minutes. TimLobo is in go mode. And I think he just realized it as well.
Now we just need to hope on both these runners' sake that the pressure of a race going on doesn't really get to them, because that's a thing. Going through the seed and you're searching for these last few items, or you make these small mistakes, and it doesn't take a lot. Things like those happen.
Oh, okay, TimLobo does have a fairy. It's been a very, very good seed for fairies. I think their stock have fallen in a lot of these races, and it's good to see them getting work. So VinylKnight is actually going to need to full clear this laser bridge. Does not know where the flute is, unfortunately. He's actually going to be taking the safety exit, too.
I think it's a rather good idea if you're not thinking of maybe of your skill level. I mean, Trinex, given the equipment he has, is going to be a pretty easy fight, but you don't want to gamble on maybe that one time you miss something and Trinex kind of hits you one too many times.
Yeah. It's definitely a boss that can kill you very quickly if you're not careful. TimLobo's having a bit of trouble with these mimics here. Mimic cave. I don't know why he's checking it. Does he not know he's in go mode?
Maybe he's looking for a few more safeties. I mean, he is still on green medal.
Yeah. But it's a pretty long check to be doing. Maybe just looking for the silver arrows as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's something you kind of assume a lot in these randomizers. As you see all these, amazing runners go through rando. All these tricks you can do, but not everybody can use all of the knowledge and the skills that the best guys can. So
yeah, but Tim really needs to get into gear here. He's, I think, still a little bit behind if he decides to full clear dungeons. I think Tim just really needs to start blazing through the rest of the dungeons available to him.
Yeah, he needs to go through these dungeons a bit faster and not look for everything, just as like you said. Or else this lead that he does have from knowing where the flute is, he's going to lose it, because the TheVinylKnight is certainly making quick progress across the seat.
Yeah, VinylKnight is actually going into Hera now. Hera probably was on his mind ever since he had to leave the mountain originally. So we know there's nothing great in here. There's a shovel, which might send VinylKnight in the wrong direction. But yeah.
It was interesting of seeing TheVinylKnight going in a basement without the small key. It's not a mistake you see very often.
Yeah, it's pretty uncommon. Tim is opting to clear laser bridge from the back to the front, or front to the back. Opting to actually clear the whole thing. Again, you're in go mode, Tim. Just do it. Please, Tim. just be in go mode. VinylKnight's playing a little musical chairs with this spark thing. I guess maybe not musical chairs.
Merry-go-round would be a better term. Or something. I don't know. I'm just a commentator.
Maybe like a... Ooh, Tim taking another death here. Does he have another fairy? Does not. So that's going to be a bit more time he's losing here, offering more chances for VinylKnight to catch up. And it really just rests on VinylKnight's shoulders now. If you... Oof. Taking a fall to Moldorm 1.
Yeah, just to show that it doesn't matter what type of equipment you have versus Moldorm. It's never enough.
Yeah. And Tim is almost back at Trinex already. VinylKnight almost getting knocked off the edge once more. He does a poke here on Moldorm, though I don't think it matters as long as he gets a swipe in, which he does, bringing down Moldorm once and for all. That is our green pendant. Now, whether or not VinylKnight does opt to go check the green pendant will mean that TimLobo taking another death off of Trinex.
You know, I was worried for a second there. After clearing Moldorm, the VinylKnight paused, maybe considering to save and quit out before picking up that green pendant.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to do that, even if it is just even if it is the green pendant and you don't think it's a pedestal seed. So Tim really needs to step it into gear here, not get hit by Trinex's head. And he's going into the battle with only 4 hearts now.
Yeah, that's a single hit I think he can take, and that's about it.
So where is VinylKnight going now? Is he going to be checking the graveyard ledge? And maybe the purple chest? Oh, purple chest and the cave south of the Haunted Grove. That's probably what he's doing. And then probably heading to Bombos Tablet and then Swamp Palace.
Yep, that seems like a good play.
Tim's positioning here is a little weird, although with Buttersword it doesn't really matter. The goal is to get 2 spin attacks, but Buttersword you're not getting any more damage on spins anyway, so it doesn't matter. It does take down Trinex, 3rd time is the charm. Hopefully Tim does actually go mode the rest of this seed, because it's starting to look a little scary if he doesn't.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before the VinylKnight just dips into dungeons again to clear them, to find that missing flute. And once he's done with the dungeons, that pedestal is looking more and more interesting.
Yeah. And if Tim does decide to keep doing full clears of dungeons until he gets, say, the Silver Arrows, hopefully he does Ice Palace next. Which it looks like he is.
Now that's good, because it's Ice Palace both has the blue mail and the silvers, which if it's that thing he's looking for to go mode the seed, it's gonna finally kick it into gears for him.
Yep. Not sure where he's going there. Still not sure where he's going. Okay.
Distractions. There's so many distractions.
Oh, yeah, VinylKnight's routing here is actually really nice, because he was able to check, Peg Cave. He's going to be checking this purple chest. He's able to check the shovel. Cave south of the Haunted Grove. Bombos Tablet, and then go directly into Swamp Palace.
Yeah, he's looking at a lot of good locations given what he has, but it's still a waste of time.
Yep.
At least he's routing efficiently.
Yeah, I think it's really good play. It's just, as we know, not the right one. And yes, Tim is still looking for items here in Ice Palace. Hopefully, Tim is actually just looking for safeties and hasn't forgotten where the flute is.
I sure hope so, because the way he's been routing everything since the beginning, you gotta kind of think that you're doing all these pendant dungeons for a reason.
Looks like we're going to be seeing our next Ice Palace bomb jump here on Tim's side. Once he gets past a couple of rooms here. He's going to be grabbing another fairy here, unless it trolls him.
Almost, but it does give him a bit of a break here.
So I guess the question here is, If you're a Vinyl Knight, do you full clear this dungeon? Do you go directly to Argus and hope that the left side doesn't have anything? Or do you do left side after Argus?
It's such a. It's a question I don't want to answer because either way is bad. You don't want to not full clear it when you're still looking for an item, but left side is so slow. It's like you don't have a choice to do it either way, really, because you're not gonna go out of Swamp Palace not having a single item that's needed for go mode while not clearing left side. Who does that?
I could name some names, but I won't dox anybody today. So yeah, Tim still gonna be, doesn't check the left side of or right side of this palace here. So I'm wondering if he's actually acting like he's in go mode. No, we're going back upstairs. But yeah, as we were saying earlier, this is definitely the right dungeon to look for items in if you're still looking for safeties, because it's got both the silvers and blue mail. I believe the blue mail's in this room? Maybe?
Yeah, I think the blue mail was here, and the silvers were definitely in that one chest.
Chest that shall not be named.
The Voldemort chest.
I said not name. You can't say its name. Jeez.
Rip.
Anyway. Unfortunately for Vinyl Knight, he's going to be spending a lot of time here in Swamp Palace, clearing it for no good reason.
The worst thing would be finding like powder in this dungeon, thus sending him another fetch quest.
There's safety number 1, in the form of the banana hat. TimLobo is going to be getting safety number 2 here in short order, and hopefully will be acting as if he's in go mode.
Man, banana hat is not something I've heard in such a long time.
This room right here with all the berries, they're not fun.
No, definitely not. They always seem to position themselves to be right in your way, so you can't move or do anything until you've killed them all.
Alright, so did Tim not check the chest that had the silvers in it? The chest that shall not be named?
I'm gonna be honest, I missed it. I have no idea.
Looks like he didn't. So that's interesting, because with good routing, you can just use you can fall in the hole in the one trap room there, and then use the key that he had to get into that room, and then you can hookshot across the room where he, killed the 2 Freezors. But,
right. Looks like he's deciding to go the long way around. He's a fairly good ice skating, at least.
So unfortunately for Vinyl Knight, he does have some locations left to check, including going back into Swamp Palace. Tim, while taking a lot of time here in this dungeon, unless he's forgotten something, is truly in go mode without any consolation or whatever the word is.
Yeah, definitely. With 3 bottles, silver arrows, golden sword, and blue mail, really, you don't need more. You don't need the cape. You don't need the better shield or even red mail. You just need to finish the seed already.
Yep. And he'll be able to gummo Swamp Palace, go grab that flute, gummo Misery Mire, then go up the mountain, finish the seed. And even with Bombos in hand and half magic, we're able to just completely embarrass Cold Stare here. Unless something terrible happens. So it looks like, yeah, that's it.
Perfect fight. Now, if only Cold Star could be like that every time.
If only. Alright, so Tim gonna be heading down into Swamp Palace. His next and pretty much only move. Whereas VinylKnight is searching in vain for that flute that we could have known the location of 8 minutes into the seed, unfortunately. So yeah, that one check basically gave Tim this race. Like, it's his race to lose at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, there's plenty more locations on the overworld that the TheVinylKnight can check. But I'm thinking that before the sea goes any further, does he go check the fabled pedestal?
I mean, it's basically his only option, his only saving grace here is if he goes to check pedestal right now. But it looks like he's going directly into Dark World and won't be doing so. Probably be seeing the Haunted Grove check, not Haunted Grove, Graveyard
Yeah.
check, and Bumper Cave. I don't think VinylKnight checked Bumper Cave, or maybe not. I don't know if we've seen King's Tomb yet either, so he might be doing that as well.
Tim, please.
Be in go mode. You don't need anything. I really hope Tim hasn't forgotten about the pedestal.
Yeah, because I'm all about finding a few extra safeties if you're not comfortable with a couple of the end challenges that A Link to the Past offers, but you don't need red mail. You don't need extra hearts than what you have right now. You have 1,000,000 bottles. Just go for the win, man. You can do it. We believe.
Yeah. And if you want to see Tim win, chat, you should be sending in your energy. And if you want to see VinylKnight win, you better be sending VinylKnight your energy to check pedestal. Because it looks like he's going all in on this not being a pedestal seed right now.
Yeah, he's really going out of his way to really get all these overworld locations.
No, it does look like Tim is at least going to be go-moding the rest of Swamp Palace here. The realization might have finally dawned. Still checking some of these At least they're not out of the way chests. I'll give him that.
Yeah, this chest especially is the one that doesn't matter what equipment I have. Most of the time, I'm gonna check it anyway too, just because it takes like less than a second just to push the block and check it. So might as well.
Yeah, I've definitely seen silver arrows in that chest when I was in go mode, or like the tempered sword when I was in go mode. So I think it's always worth checking if you're below if you don't have silvers or if you don't have tempered yet, even if you're otherwise in go mode, or if you don't have boots. Vinyl is actually going to be checking pedestal though. I think he's deduced that that's the only option.
Yeah, at this point, there's so few locations left that it's, and he does have 2 pendants already, so might as well clear pod really quick and go check that. Blind pull it.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to feel great, especially if Vinyl does remember that he had the book for so long. But Tim is now about to go check the pedestal himself. And VinylKnight is only getting into the backside, or to the final stretch of Palace of Darkness. So, though Vinyl does have a bit better execution, so he's really got to speed it up to catch up to Tim right now. So we do have a race.
Indeed, and man, it's gonna be kind of close, really, when you look at it, because we've seen Violent Knight's execution through this race, and he could catch up, depending on how Ganon's Tower plays out.
Yeah, and I think both of these runners have cause to believe that they're very far behind.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
They might be taking interesting routes in Ganon's Tower. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And here it is, the Master Flute. Everybody's favorite.
The troll color.
I should change that. If it's a pedestal flute, it should be like the troll face instead of a duck, or like a duck with a troll face on it. As he's flying you away. And VinylKnight gets his last pendant. We'll be off to the pedestal soon, like very soon. Unless Vinyl did just forget that there weren't any items left here.
I mean, judging, he really has to tell himself that that's the play, because the seed has been kind of not giving him anything for a very long while now.
Yeah. So at 147.40, TimLobo is fluting to Meyer. Let's see what VinylKnight gets once he gets to that area. This could also come down to Meyer routing as well. Meyer is definitely a dungeon I think a lot of players route differently. Like some players try to put off the cutscene chest for basically as long as possible. We might see a God Meyer and make it all moot, but yeah.
Yeah, first chest, big key in it. How about that?
And we get our Master Flute on VinylKnight's side. Probably not too happy about that. Tim is about to enter the third room of Misery Mire. Now, it comes down to this. Is this going to be the God Mire? Is it going to be a Troll Mire? Is it going to be a Mire that wants you to troll yourself? Time will tell.
Starts off with a B. That's never a good sign.
It's just Vitorp telling you that he's always watching. Is not the God Mire, unfortunately. So it's looking like VinylKnight is about 2 minutes behind. 2 minutes and change. Maybe a little bit further behind now that he's actually going to be checking, or not checking, but buying some potions here at the Witch's Hut. It's probably closer to 3 minutes now. I always love that message, no empty bottles.
Tim is still looking for that big key. No luck so far.
Yeah, it's definitely not something you want to see. I mean, the big key being Trolley and the Misery Mire, that is. So yeah, it's about 3 minutes that Tim is ahead. Tim is actually going for the cutscene chest first. So this could be huge for him, or could give VinylKnight a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, it's a difficult decision to go for this chest or going on the right side chest, which is equally trolly, really.
Alright, the moment of truth is soon. Did Tim make the right choice in going to the cutscene room? And he did!
Vanilla!
Yeah, very vanilla. So depending on if VinylKnight is cutscene chest phobic today, that could be even more time TimLobo is getting ahead by.
Now, I don't want to curse him, but Tim is on the very low hearts right now. I mean, having silvers in hand, he shouldn't have any problems whatsoever with Vitreous, but yeah. It's a great use of a Cane of Burner now. I could have used that maybe 10 seconds earlier. Save yourself a few hearts.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm not judging. I'm just commentating. Yeah, it looks like VinylKnight is maybe going for the same kind of routing here. In fact, maybe he won't.
Does look like he is. Oh, maybe not. Lorgaro and Chad, our tracker, is saying that if the first chest on the left is a small key, then it guarantees that the big key chest, vanilla big key chest, is a big key. Which I'm still not entirely sure how that works out, but I'll trust that is correct. TimLobo does take a death here, but did have a fairy. We also have silver arrows, which will make Vitreous a breeze.
There we see it. He got through Vitreous. He will now go and get his last crystal.
So that does mark a significant milestone in the seed. The ability to enter Ganon's tower, which TimLobo is going to be doing either right now or after buying some potions. Looks like after buying some potions. But, yeah, so Tim is about to enter Ganon's tower, and there's a little game you like to play, even though there's no leaderboard since it's not a speed gaming channel right now. But there are 23 or 22, I keep forgetting the number, chests in Ganon's tower, including the torch item. And your job is to guess which number check actually has the big key. So, yeah. What do you usually go for, Dynasty?
I always go for number 2. I'm
Two.
a fan of really quick Ganon's Tower. Or very slow, depending on which side you start with.
Yeah, I usually go with number 8, and I'll go with number 8 today.
I mean, I like to predict that like first chest has an extra sword in it, and the second chest has the big key, which is just perfect. But that something tells me that won't happen this time.
Yeah. We still have yet to unearth the fabled space and time sword, the level 5 sword upgrade.
Yeah, I've heard of this one where you just spin attack your way to the credits.
Yeah.
Next version, maybe.
I'm having a bit of trouble with the eyeballs here today. Actually pretty low on arrows, which is a little concerning. Only having 6 arrows going into GT.
Yeah, it's always a bit unnerving as you're going up the tower. There's not many drops for it, so you either have to be lucky or kind of farm some of them somewhere. Because the worst thing possible is going into a Ganon fight without any arrows while you have silvers.
So yeah, Tim is doing something weird. Okay, we're gonna actually be checking these chests and not trying to go to the right side. It does find 2 keys, and instead it's gonna be going a more standard route. Or at least like the old meta route of first 2 chests on the left side and then going full left. First 2 chests on the right side and then going full left. Whereas VinylKnight actually was able to double hit a dead rock to avoid getting blocked by it.
Yeah. The chest, the torch only had a crispy burrito on it, so nothing of value.
Ooh, there it is, number 4.
Number 4. Wait, isn't it 3 if he didn't bonk the item off the...
Well, if you see it, it counts. Like, even if they don't have boots, even if they don't have the boots and the big keys on the lamp, it's still number 3. It's just where you know it is. Anyway. So yeah, the closest person was 50 keys. Everybody else was a lot more pessimistic. And you're number 2. I mean, 50 keys kind of prices right at you there. Maybe that reverse prices right at you, I guess. So the thing is, like, VinylKnight might go for the newer meta route of, you know, going full right to the first 6 chests, not including tile room, and that'll cost him even more time, and that is not time VinylKnight has to spare right now. So for VinylKnight's sake, you better go full left, which is looking a little scary. He did get out the mirror right away, so it might mean he's going to be doing the same route Tim did. And it does.
So yeah, it's gonna come down pretty much to execution through Ganon's tower and the Ganon fight itself. Of course, TimLobo does have an advantage here going up the tower in time-wise, but as we've seen through the seed, it does look like TheVinylKnight does have the better execution of the two. So we have a race going on, an interesting one too.
Yeah. Tim is about halfway through the gauntlet right now. And VinylKnight is just getting upstairs, so VinylKnight has to hurry if he wants any chance of winning this race.
At the very least, it looks like the BMOs were pretty tame today.
Yeah. Tim misfiring a bit on land mode 2. Gonna have at least a 3-cycle land mode 2 here today. Yep. Whereas VinylKnight is only just getting past the first mimic room.
He's out of arrows.
Yeah, that's a little scary. He'd better find some arrows going upstairs. Tim just found a 5-arrow drop off of Wizrobes, so it's probably likely that VinylKnight will also be getting a 5-arrow drop somewhere soon. But yeah, a silverless versus silver's Ganon, even with Butter Sword, is still a huge time difference.
Does find that lucky fairy though. It's gonna help out a bit.
VinylKnight is about to finish up Gauntlet here as well, but TimLobo is on the penultimate floor of Ganon's tower. Pretty much the only thing that could save VinylKnight, provided you know nothing else bad happens, is maybe a Ganon fall or a few Moldorm 2 falls. VinylKnight is also using a lot of his magic here.
He does have a lot of blue potions, so it's not that much of a problem.
Yeah, that's true. But is that? I mean, even though they do have Butter Sword, that is one fewer blue potion they'll have for Ganon.
True. Oh, and luck. There's 10 arrows in the final chest.
If it's a VinylKnight, check it.
Oh, I hope so.
I mean, again, there are arrows in this Wizrobe prize pack, so he might be... Nope, never mind. He doesn't want those arrows, apparently. Probably doesn't even notice that he's out. Oof, messing up this Wizrobe room. Not the thing you want to be doing when the race is this close. And TimLobo is already on Agate 2. Not having the best of luck so far, though. Yeah, this would have been a place to use one of those blue potions, but unfortunately, Vinyl is having to do low percent strats instead. Alright, TimLobo takes out Agate 2. We'll be headed off to Ganon in short order. With the Paradox Duck that, you know, I play the flute all the time in the Dark World, forgetting that I'm in the Dark World, and he never comes. Why does he come here? It doesn't make any sense.
Hey, don't question the lore, man.
Maybe I should read the item descriptions next time.
Ain't got no time for that. This is a speed run.
Looks like Ganon's a police fan today. I think that's police.
Now Ganon takes, I believe, is 6 hits per phase for phase 1 and 2. Oh, and
Yep.
we're going with lag strats. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than death strats.
Oh, definitely.
Just use a potion, man. There we go. Vinyl Knight takes down Moldorm 2. Does have 5 arrows now, which is good, because he'll need them. But he only has 1 arrow to spare, so hopefully he doesn't miss anything again or try to go for a triple when, you know, he doesn't have the triple. Is Vinyl Knight actually out of potions right now?
By my count, he should still have 1, but
Okay.
could have miscounted. Yeah, here it is.
Yep, TimLobo did find the arrows in Ice Palace today. And it's going to be 4 arrows here. A nice double to start things off. A single here. Vinyl Knight getting a double off of Aga 2. TimLobo going in for his last arrow, and Ganon falls. And that's going to mark it's going to mark the end of this race. TimLobo is once he walks through that door, it's finishing the race with an SRTV time, 2 hours and 5 minutes, 41 seconds. GG to Tim.
Yeah, GG to him. Man, the power of information, yeah?
Yeah. Vinyl Knight is going into Ganon. Must not feel great being heading right into Ganon and seeing that that done. But that's just the way the seed shook out. We will be seeing if Tim wants to hop in for an interview. Final showing off some nice hook shot strats, getting those iframes in. Did get hit by a fire bat. I'm pretty sure a fire bat will kill him at this point. With never mind, it only does 2 hearts with the blue mail. I thought it did 3. Sounds wrong.
Well, either way, he's 1 hit away now.
Yeah, does still have a blue potion. And Tim will be joining us for an interview momentarily. Might just wait until both of them are done. We can get them both in to talk about this seed.
Oh yes, because we do want a good interview with these guys. We're on 1 arrow in, and a second here. Gets a nice double with his last arrows. GG, VinylKnight.
Yep. And Vinyl Knight finishes with an SRTV time of 2 hours, 8 minutes, 14 seconds. GG's to Vinyl. So, guess we can bring in Tim. Vinyl will be joining us here in a minute. Good game, Tim.
Thanks.
So, how about that pedestal?
Yo, that pedestal. Forget that.
Yeah. So,
I guess
you'll
saving
be
grace.
interested.
Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
you'll be interested to learn that you were the only person who checked the pedestal.
Oh no. Well, actually, that's not too bad. He just finished, so he was
Yeah,
pretty
it was-
still close behind. That's awesome. Wow. Sounds like it was a pretty close race.
Yeah. I think you had a lot of an advantage once you got the mirror. You did spend a lot of time looking for silvers. But
Oh, yeah.
I think if you would have just go moded the rest of the game, you would have probably been at least like 5 minutes ahead by the end.
Yeah, I think at some point I realized that after mirror, I guess I don't think I needed anything really, right?
Yeah, that was pretty much your go mode, considering you knew where that sleep was. So we were kind of
Yeah.
wondering where, when you're gonna speed it up a bit.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I've spaced out and I didn't realize what my go mode was. I was just still like, all right, I gotta do everything until I get to swamp, and then I can go mode swamp. I wasn't even thinking about that. I just completely spaced.
Yep, and we also have Vinyl here as well.
GG.
GG to Vinyl. Your mic is actually muted, however. Anyway, we'll get that sorted out. So yeah, we were just assuming you were just looking for the silvers, but
Yes, that's exactly what I was doing.
yeah, you had some trouble early on,
Yeah,
especially in Escape. Were you feeling like really far behind?
100%. Yeah, I hadn't practiced the new V29 standard open with all the random configurations, so I was kind of hoping it wasn't bad, but got a couple deaths in there I didn't really like. And I just kind of at that point was like, let me just shoot for dungeons as quick as I can and work my way back.
Yeah, it seemed like you were also trying to go towards places that you might otherwise skip, like Zora. You went for, like, right when you got the money for it, even though you had checked the Zora area beforehand. You went to Desert and got the Fire Rod, like, really early on.
Yeah, that was a shock.
It didn't help too much. I mean, it let you finish Skull Woods the first time you were there.
Yeah, that could have been a lot smoother, but Mothula got him off.
Yeah, at least going with the works now and knowing that what was on the pedestal, it gave you, I wouldn't say a lead, but it gave you better routing options than your opponent, the TheVinylKnight, which overall did a lot of good plays, but unfortunately going outside of dungeons, dependent dungeons, and not completing them, especially in Palace of Darkness.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's the one thing I thought is if I was gonna come back if I was gonna win, it was gonna be somehow if he got stuck checking overworlds. Yeah, after Fire Rod and going through Moth and Thieves, just kind of everything seemed to open up from there, kind of smooth way. You got Bow, so you have 2 dungeons right there that were completable, and then you got Hookshot, and you could go do all of Death Mountain, like dark and light. So it was actually super linear that way, except for that one little. I could see where slipping up and not getting Fire Rod early would throw it up.
Yeah, and of course that mirror inside Turtle Rock was a bit of a troll for both of you guys. Kind of expected at that point, just because of the locations that were left at the very least, it was a crystal dungeon, so you both have to go through it.
Yeah, I didn't see too much of it as a troll. It just seemed like, oh yeah, of course, here it is along my way. Like I was, able to do both light and dark Death Mountains, and just happened to get mirror at that time was good. I kind of tossed in my head whether or not I wanted to dip out for ice before all of that, but I'm glad I stuck up on the mountain.
Yeah, you did fall for the trap of going into the Dark Worlds before opening Turtle Rock.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a small mistake. We all made it at some place, but I'm gonna say that as soon as you figured out that you were in go mode, you pretty much cleared the seed out fairly well. Your ascent inside of Gan's Tower was had some pretty good execution overall, and you made it past a very close race.
Thanks. That was actually I'm surprised this how close it was. So, GG to TheVinylKnight. Great job.
Cool. All right. Any other thoughts on this seed?
That was a pretty fun seed. Now that I can kind of sit back and not be in the race mentality, yeah, that was a super fun kind of seed. I like those.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we are still trying to get TheVinylKnight in here. I mean, he is in here, but he's having issues getting unmuted in Discord. So, depending on that, we might be able to get him in, or might not. Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting seed. We definitely were talking a lot about how your early knowledge of the pedestal, made you take a completely different route for a lot of it.
When did he check pedestal?
I'm not 100% sure, but it was like the last possible thing for him to do.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he couldn't go into. Well, I guess he couldn't get to Mire. That's about it. So everything else, all of the Light World, all the Dark World, all of Death Mountain, every dungeon was cleared. Yeah, the last thing. So I guess TheVinylKnight is having issues joining us today. So we'll probably have to cut it at that. I would like to thank our racers today, TimLobo and TheVinylKnight. I'd like to thank our tracker, Regaro. Regaro, not entirely sure how to pronounce it. I'd like to thank my co-commentator, Dynasty Zero, and our restreamer, who's they have no name. It's no name 4444. That's 4 4s.
For sure. I'm gonna say too that I'm gonna thank the whole community for making these races happen and giving us a nice show. And of course, if you guys in chat had fun tonight, don't forget to leave a follow to these runners, as they gave us a lot of fun stuff to commentate. And like Rubble said, there's plenty more of races that's going on in these channels, both a link to the past Randomizer and the speed gaming channels. So if you guys like a lot watching all these fun races, be sure to check around if there's more stuff going on, as we have about 512 participants in this tournament. Oh, well, maybe a bit less now that the tournament has been around for a few weeks, but still plenty of races to watch.
Yep. So, yeah, I guess that does it for us. Be signing off now. Thanks for watching, and we'll probably be shuttling you to Speed Gaming 3, where a new race is happening.
All right. Have a good night, people.